The curriculum struggle can be real sometimes. There are so many different options. It is so expensive, and half the time you barely know anything about the curriculum you're purchasing before you purchase it. That is why I want to give you a closer look into Journey Through Early American History so you can decide whether it's best for your family or not before you buy. So this is what you'll receive. Table of contents. First activity is going to be a map. This is each stop in the journey or each unit in the journey, and your kid will be earning these coins along the way. So once they complete an entire unit, glue it on there. So this is the map that they'll have, and then here's each little coin that they will glue on after they finish the unit. Separate, you'll have these 2 pieces of paper plus these 2 strips to cut out, because you'll be creating a time machine. Throughout the course, you will come to spots that have these little coins. You will place the car in the time machine, set the date to the date that it tells you in the activity, hit go. Then kids can do the countdown timer, open it, and see that in the past, a car turns into a wagon. These time machines are made out of Pringles cans. If that is not an option for you, there are these time machines. You would just place your car here, select the date, hit start, do the countdown, and then have the wagon appear there. To go along with the time machine is a time traveler passport. This is what the passport will look like, and here's the wagon, so you'll just check that off once you've traveled through that token. The first activity will be cutting out this and making a little book. This is what it turns out like. We burned ours a little bit just to be a little extra fun. And then you're going to meet the character of my book. So in my book, the deer plays George Washington. And after you meet the book character, you're going to meet the real George Washington. Here are questions about George Washington. Here's like a little blurb from the book. You don't need the book to do this curriculum. And then you'll turn to your first page, and then it says, this founding father later became the, and then you'll trace one, first president. And then right here around George Washington's name are clues. And so your kid will use those clues to answer each of these questions on here. And you'll do that with John Adams. Along with the John Adams activity, there's a bonus activity where you can make a quill. So you can color this feather, cut it out, tape it to a pen, pencil, writing utensil to make a quill, and then you time travel right here. Thomas Jefferson. Here's an activity where you can do the Declaration of Independence. So you can trace it. We crumpled ours up, burned it to make it look old. And here's another one where you can paint this with tea to make it look old, give it that old paper look. Benjamin Franklin. So this is a review, and you can use a little race car, and they could drive to each stop and review each person they had just learned about. Then it says, just like you, the founding fathers were real people with dreams, goals, and stories. Now it's your turn to share 5 things about you. So you share 5 things about yourself. Here's a matching game you can cut out and play. Answer key to all the questions. And this is the end of the stop. They will have their map, and they can now place their coin on the map. Each section has sources. So here they learn about the 13 colonies. There's a matching game for New England colonies, middle colonies, and southern colonies. And each one of these has like a little discussion question. This one you can complete the barn. It's the same, you complete the cow. This talks about life in the colonies. Has some activities here. There's a colonial kids field day. So it gives you games that you can set up and play with your kids, play games all day, and then someone can win an award at the end of the day. Here's creating your own book. So day in the life of your child's name during colonial times. So they can draw pictures of what they would be doing during colonial times, kind of put themselves in the shoes of someone living during that time. So your kid can follow their finger, and then that's going to tell them about Virginia. Here they can create trading cards, so they can color these in, trade them with their siblings, trade them with the parent. So this one is unity and independence. So this one talks about why America wanted its independence from Great Britain, so they can fill out this complaint scroll. Next stop is colonial life and settlements. Here's where they'll learn about Jamestown, and there's a conversation between Bunny and Moo, so this is kind of a fun theme throughout. You're going to build a fort, and then after you build that fort, here's 2 different games that you can play inside the fort. Where will you get clean water for your fort? What part of your fort keeps out wind or rain? So these questions have them thinking about the things people had to think about back then when they were building their houses. And then you can play a would you rather game. So would you rather collect firewood or carry buckets of water from the river? And then something fun that you can also do with this page is if they come up with an idea, they can change their fort according to what the question is asking. Here they're going to create their own Jamestown, so they'll cut out these pieces and create their own town. Here you learn about Plymouth Rock. They'll cut out the characters and shows you how to make your own paper boat. Daily life in the settlements. Build it like a settler. So here are cards that you're going to cut out. Then you're going to have your kid draw a settlement, and then these cards are going to throw a loop in their settlement. So they draw their settlement, and then a visitor just arrived at the door. Draw who it is and why they came. You traded for a goat. Draw where the goat lives and how you take care of it. So it has them thinking about how unexpected things change, or how decisions we make also affect other things. This is a settler survival sort. So here's cards you'll cut out, and they're going to decide if this is something they must have or if it's just something that was nice to have. Colonial jobs and trades. So they're going to learn about different colonial jobs and trades. This one's probably one of my most favorite, but also the hardest to set up. So it's a what's on my head game. So here are cards. These are clue cards. And then there's different hats. So a farmer's hat, a blacksmith hat, a baker's hat. So you'll cut out all those hats, and then they will place that hat on their head, and you will read them the clue card, and they're going to guess what hat is on their head. So this one is about the American Revolution. In order to understand the American Revolution, you have to understand taxes. So here's a fun, simple math activity that shows kids about taxes, and they will have paper money that they cut out, a cash register, items, and they just learn about taxes through like a simple sales tax pretend shopping activity. Here's the Stamp Act. So your little ones will create their own stamps, stamp the stuff that needs to be stamped. Silly little question about a donut. And then here's a Stamp Act game that they can play. So here's all the pieces to set up the game, and it involves like running around the house and putting stuff in different baskets. Here's the Boston Tea Party. So they cut out the tea, they build a tea crate, and they dump the tea into the harbor, and then they can create a drawing of their own boat right here. And then here's some just discussion stuff about the Boston Tea Party. Learn about Paul Revere's Midnight Ride, and you create paper lanterns, and you create your own little stick horse. And then here's a game you can play, Spies and Secret Codes. So you come up with a secret code name, you practice writing what your secret message is going to be, and then it shows you how to write the secret message using lemon. And then here's a secret message that you're going to decipher with this code. Victory at Yorktown. So it talks about how you can do that with a water balloon fight if it's summertime, how you could do it with a paper fight if it's inside your house, wintertime maybe. And then here's another review that they can drive with their little car. Here you're going to learn about the Constitution. So you're going to create a family constitution to start with. So here's your little family constitution. Then you're going to do a constitution puzzle. So it breaks the Constitution down into its different pieces. And then we're going to do the preamble. So you're going to cut these pieces out, trace the words, and then put the preamble together. Here's the articles of the Constitution. So I made the Articles of the Constitution articles of clothing that you can pack inside of a suitcase, and the Bill of Rights. So here's how you could use the Bill of Rights with Easter eggs. But you'll cut these out and then glue them onto here, and there's like a fun game that you could do that with. And then we move on to government and civics. So this talks about the 3 branches of government. So there's like a number thing to complete the tree, and you use that to glue in the different parts here. And then you have these leaves that you'll glue onto the tree again. So repetition helps with learning. And then we have 3 branch bingo. So here are your bingo markers, and then here are your bingo cards. And then the cards have words and pictures, so you can play with 2 different age levels. Your younger ones can match just the pictures, and then if you have kids who can read, they could match off the words. And then here are your bingo boards. So it comes with 2 bingo boards. And then you learn about voting and elections. So you'll have a little family election. Is symbols of our nation. So the bald eagle, the American flag. You'll create a book similar to this. And it's piece by piece the story of a flag. So, oh no, the flag is disappeared. Let's piece it back together, and what does each piece mean? Then you'll learn about the Statue of Liberty. The last section is westward expansion. It's about why Americans wanted to move west. So it has like little check boxes, and then you'll cut these out and glue them up here. And then you'll create your own homestead. So you'll cut these out and then design your own homestead on this page. Talks about like the Louisiana Purchase and Lewis and Clark's expedition. Here's a little book again that you'll create about Lewis and Clark's expedition. So this one says, uh-oh, the pictures disappeared. So it gives you the words, and it wants your little one to write the pictures or draw the pictures. Lewis and Clark animal search. So you can search for the different animals they may have seen while they were on their adventure. And the last thing is Life on the Oregon Trail. So this is just a simple activity that talks about how they used covered wagons. They didn't drive cars, and it has you pack your wagon. And here's some items to pack in your wagon. It gives you the option to make a wagon out of a tissue box, and then that is the end. And here, that's a wrap. So they can draw their favorite things that they liked about this entire thing, and they can cut them out and pack them in their wagon. And it says, the best part of learning history is you get to take the good stuff with you. So there you have it. That is what is in our journey through early American history. It is meant for 5 to 7-year-olds, kindergarten through 1st grade. Let me know in the comment section if you have found this video useful or if you have any other questions. And until next time, keep exploring history.